Well, hello there all you marvelous people, and welcome back to another episode of An Ecologist Plays, the channel where we're learning more about nature by playing games. Now we are back in theHunter, Call of the Wild, and this time around we are in Australia, as we can see from all the eucalypt trees growing over here, all the gum trees. Now I was going to play the missions, however apparently the missions are quite bland, and it may actually be better for us to just run around and look at the different habitats that we have here and have a good feel of what Australia is like, because unfortunately, like many places around the world, Australia struggles with a whole bunch of exotic species, especially deer species, and there are like 6 deer species, I think, as far as I recall, in Australia, that have feral populations and are really being a massive nuisance and are being potentially very destructive to the natural environment. So we are going to be looking at the natural environment, and we're also going to be looking at the animals that we encounter, both natural and exotic. But most of the animals we encounter in this map will in fact be exotics. Some of them are in fact exotics, but also endangered, and those are some very interesting cases, because do we kill them? Do we protect them? We'll talk about that as we go along. While we are starting out here, we are in typical savanna type ecosystem, typical woodland. We've got trees, we've got grasses, very similar to the African savanna. Of course, there are different species here to the African savanna. In Africa, we had aloes. Here, we've got the grass tree, which is a Xanthorrhoea. It's also in the same family as the aloes, Xanthorrhoeaceae, or now called Asphodelaceae again. But it is very different, very thin leaves. Thin leaves, of course, a very nice adaptation for survival in arid regions. If you have thin leaves, you're going to lose water more slowly than if you have very broad leaves. If you have very broad leaves, you are exposing a lot of your surface area of the leaf to the sun. And of course, when the sun shines on it, you're going to lose water quite quickly. So a lot of desert plants will have either no leaves or very thin leaves. Now we're just going to keep an eye out. This is great habitat for the kangaroos because they are grazers, and we've got lots and lots of grasses all over the area. Of course, kangaroos also most species at least, do very well in the more open areas, simply because it's easier for them to hop around in the open than it is in a dense woodland. So we're not going to find them in the forested areas on the map here. We are going to find them in the more open regions, into areas where there are quite a few trees, but perhaps not as dense as a true forest. And we've got a hot air balloon up there as well. I have tried shooting it, it does nothing. And I don't want to scare away the animals now. So I'm just going to quickly walk around again and see what we can find. I did hear something, and there we go, feral goats. Now, that is a very interesting one. So let's quickly see if we can just crawl a little bit closer. There's one. You can just see the head over there. Now, goats have also been taking over Australia quite a bit. And that's because, of course, they were livestock and then they escaped, or they were let loose, and now they have formed massive feral populations around Australia. Pretty much in all the provinces, as far as I recall, you do have feral goats now. Now, they are very destructive feeders. In South Africa, for example, where people are farming with them, it's a major problem, because if you have a few of them, they tend to really destroy the natural habitat quite a bit. They are quite destructive feeders, and in large areas in Australia, they have been feeding on a lot of the palatable plants, reducing the food available to indigenous herbivores like the kangaroos, but also destroying things like the nests of certain ground nesting birds, like the malleefowl, I believe. So they are really having a major impact, and the solution, of course, is to eat them. And we are going to do exactly that. Now in Australia, a lot of professional hunters are taking out large herds of these feral goats by going and shooting them when they encounter them, and actually going out in big, I would say hunting parties, but that sounds like a jolly old time. They're going out to go and clear areas of these feral goats as well. So there we go, it's got a female there, bronze trophy, and yeah, there we go, heart, left lung, right lung, and flesh. Yeah, pretty much as good as I could possibly have gotten. Now, there is, of course, an alternative to actually shooting them like this, and that is to herd them together. And it's been a big business where people are going and herding hundreds or thousands of them to then either fence them off and keep them as livestock again, or to then take them directly to the abattoir if they are big enough. And then the meat is of course harvested and they are exported, especially it seems to the USA, where there is a bit more of a market for goat meat as well. So that's quite interesting. It's becoming an export product for Australia. Let's see, we've got feral goats running over there as well. Of course, rams and ewes, a little bit different there. That looks like a ram, big old billy goat with its horns on the top there. Now they're also in Australia now trying to get trying to interbreed the goats that are there with South African Boer goats, which is a meat type of goat, a meat goat, or with the Angora goat, which is of course used for the Angora wool that they produce. So they're trying to get more products from them now as well. Now, one major effort was made to get rid of feral goats on Kangaroo Island, which is in South Australia, so off the south coast of Australia there. In 2005, I believe, they introduced what are called Judas goats. Judas goats are goats which have got radio collars on them so they can be tracked. And these goats were released and then they would meet up with other goat herds. And the hunters would then more easily be able to find the bigger herds of these goats and actually take them down. And 13 years later, in 2018, the island was officially goat-free, feral goat-free, which is amazing for conservation. And there were a whole bunch of... Oh, there we go, there's another exotic there. That is the red fox. And you know what? We are going to try and get that one to come closer. We're going to use our distressed jackrabbit caller to try and get that red fox closer. I suspect the red fox has run off. Ah, well, next time we'll get them, because they are also a bit of a big nuisance and a very big pest animal in Australia as well. Oh, there is a very nice feral goat, and I think I should actually be going for that one. So as I was mentioning, with the feral goats, with the Judas goats, they were betraying their herds basically by leading the hunters to where they were. And that's actually a brilliant use of technology as well as some good old shooting to get rid of them. And the reason they were trying to get rid of them is because there are endangered birds, for example, in Australia. And on that Kangaroo Island as well, a parrot-type bird, which I can't remember the name of, I'll have it down below. And because the goats were eating everything, they were feeding on the plants that these birds, these very endangered birds, were needed for their survival. And they were really battling to get enough food because things like the feral goats were eating their food sources. And just overall destroying the habitat. Now we are quite close-ish. I think we can probably aim and shoot. Did not get a good shot on that one, unfortunately. So unfortunately, oh man, I should just have been patient and walked a little bit closer. As always, Will is a little bit trigger happy here. A trigger happy chappy. Now we are following the goat. We're heading into some denser woodland here. And immediately you can notice that we've lost a lot of grass cover, eh? We've got grasses growing out here in the open. As soon as we head into the denser thickets, denser woodland, we are losing the grass cover. That typically happens when you have an increase in tree cover beyond a certain amount, a certain percentage. I think about 20% tree cover, you start getting fewer grasses because a lot of grasses need more sunlight in order to survive. So suddenly we've got a few more shrubs here, a few young saplings, and very few grasses. And then when we head out here again, far more grasses present. I love the fact that they accurately represent that change in the grass cover as well. So we're down to 25 to 50% now. Maybe we'll see it up ahead. And just as I say that, it starts fleeing again. It has stopped bleeding. Of course it has. So it's recovered. And that means I need to get another shot on him. And hopefully that time around I can get a proper shot off. Here's a kangaroo that is stuck hopping on a... Whoa, there was a teleporting kangaroo. Oh, wow. What beautiful, weird creatures. The eastern grey kangaroo. Kangaroos really being marsupials on steroids. Oh, there's a beautiful one there as well. That I think is an alarm call. No, it's mating call. Okay. I don't think I'll be hunting them today. I'm just here to appreciate them. Because, wow, they are such beautiful creatures. Look at how, when they're walking, they are technically not tetrapods, but pentapods. They technically have 5 feet. They're using that tail as well as it's a very, very muscular tail, which of course helps with balance when jumping on their hind legs. And when they jump, the energy from each jump is transferred to the next jump as well, due to the way they jump. But that tail at the back there is used as another little leg to actually move with. Really such beautiful creatures. We'll be hunting them next time, or at some point in the future. For now, I'm after some feral goats. And I did see a very nice feral goat over on this side as well. So I'm just going to make my way over there. It's about less than 300 meters away. There it is. You know what? It's 300 meters away. We zero to it. And it's dead. Right. Taken down another feral goat. Slowly but surely, guys, we are making a difference in Australia's ecosystem. Unfortunately, there are lots and lots of goats to hunt and lots of deer to also hunt. But with the use of technology, rifles, and of course Judas goats and radio telemetry, one can eventually get rid of them. Now, the way you would go about getting a Judas goat is just take a normal goat or capture one of the ones that are there and then just fit it with a radio collar and release it, and it will find a herd of goats. Goats are very, very social animals. They love being in little herds, and then it would lead you to where the rest of the herd is. And if you have a bunch of people together, you can very quickly get rid of that entire herd if you are good at shooting them. Thankfully, this one, we did manage to land a killing blow, it seems, on it. Which I'm very, very thankful for. No more tracking this one, at least. Ah, look at this. Quite a beautiful one. Left lung, right lung, it didn't stand a chance. Yeah, straight through there and broke the vertebral column as well. Okay. Well, that was marvelous. And it's going to give me a nice little... Oh, I used the wrong ammunition. What did I use? Did I use my 7mm? Oh yeah. I really wanted it dead, and I used I used my Molmer 7mm instead of the Ranger 243. Okay. No wonder it dropped dead instantly. Would have been a gold trophy. Unfortunately, improper ammo used. Oh man. Well, that sucks. Okay. Should stop equipping the 7mm automatically. I'm used to shooting things like buffalo and stuff that can kill me if I don't shoot them properly. Okay. But we have made a slight difference. We have shot one male and one female of the goats, of the feral goats here in the Emerald Coast in Australia. So tomorrow, Nick and I will be back in Grounded. We are going to have a redo of that fantastic Coltana fight. Let's see whether we can get it tomorrow. And then on Tuesday, of course, I'll be back in Terra Nil as well. So if you enjoyed the episode, please leave a like. Also comment below if you've got any questions or anything you would like to see me hunt in this on this map here on the Emerald Coast. I'll have a list of the animals down below in the description as well. So until next time then, everybody, stay safe. And we will see you all soon. Bye.